Hello, good day, everyone. Corrie here, coming in to do my weekly channel message. I think this one's a little bit late. Thursday, May the 26th. And actually, yesterday I thought was the 26th. So still got my days mixed up. But this week's message, I actually recorded yesterday. That one turned into a full prophecy, which I have still unlisted. Because it just felt so raw and so vulnerable. And I think that's where we all are right now. Not all of us, but many are feeling raw, vulnerable, exposed. And we have a whole lot of energy that's happening. So raw, real, vulnerable, that's where we are this weekend. Today, just as I started this, my little darling came in, my little granddaughter, one of my granddaughters. And the other one is brand new to us. So we have, I do have a message this week that is raw, real, and true to where we are right now and to what we have in the world. And, it's time for us to move beyond hate. Hate is the biggest virus we have, it's the biggest enemy. And it is a time when when we look into our past week and where we have been in the United States, and these precious darlings and innocent little children, they are our world, and we have to protect them and keep them safe. And sometimes we have to do the adult thing and make some adult choices and decisions. Hold on. Sorry, that's as long as she can sit still, but she's here. So you're going to hear children in the background, and that's totally okay. We should have more laughter and joy, and children should be able to be free and feel safe in our world. And right now we have to really think about that. Between war-torn countries where children are being victims to that mad behavior, to what just happened within the United States, and the loss of many beautiful children and adults, of course, in the shooting there. This should not be happening. And it is time for us to stop the divide, the argumentative energy, and really truly look. The same people that are lobbying against guns are just also the same establishment that sells guns, and from one country to the other. So there's so many ways that it can be looked at. There's so many ways we have to open our hearts and our minds and say, you know what, we have to be the grown adults, and we have to make some very wise choices and decisions in our world and in our lives. And it all does start with us. It starts with us as an individual. It starts with us on how we speak to each other, how we live in our world, how we communicate to each other. Do we communicate each other with love or hate? And so as I had to really, truly just step back yesterday and say, I'm going to unfollow a few people who are, instantly going to the divide and calling each other names and stuff like Trump tards and those type of things, which is, how's that helping in any way when we place such judgment and criticism up on each other as a human race? And if we're going to be able to come together, we have to come together in a much more loving, kind, respectful way to emotionally and spiritually mature and grow, and stop trying to divide and conquer and make somebody else out to be the enemy. Stop messing with the minds of the future children, and stop making children adults, and let children be children, and stop giving them hours in front of video games and images of where they can be a shooter, or where they can be in an environment where they have to feel like they are at war while sitting in a living room. Let's bring back nature and happy-go-lucky and fun-loving and truth. And so that's a big part of this message today. The other part about this that brings us into the channeling of this message and moving all my ego aside and stepping into a place of love. That's as the spiritual teacher, that's in my knowing and what I know through teaching and through creating more than existing. What is from the wisdom and comes from that place of God and love is we are all of one. And the same, the hurt and the trauma and the pain that's behind each and every person's actions and reactions are often all so similar, and we have no idea what is going on. We have no idea what may be going on in someone else's mind, but we know what's going on in our own mind. What thoughts are we allowing in? And we still have a lot of we have a planetary shifts that are happening where we're going into those into the in where the planets are shifting, and the I'm not an astrologer, so I don't know how to exactly put it, but where we have more of that anger, aggressive energy that's still going to be active and reactive and reactivating and coming to life. We also still have a lot of storm energy. I know that last year, I think it was, or 2021, there's a big storm that hit India. I don't know why I'm seeing like India, an Indian storm, so the way I hear it, an India storm or something big happening in those places of countries. My last week's video spoke about the weather as well. And so, and spoke about these big storms hitting, and it did. And I have this again, and I just have this eruption, and Mother Earth is, you know, has these erupting energies. And outside of her is where, you know, outside of Mother Earth herself is where the storms come, and it's coming from the universal energy. It's coming from the dark. And I just feel like things coming from being like, don't be blindsided by being oblivious or living, you know, in trying to ignore the rest of the world, that you're ignorant to the possibility that something else could be happening. And so there is always something else that's happening. There's always, you know, even if your world, even if the world over here may look peaceful, over in this part of the world, something else is not peaceful. Something else is happening. So within us and within our own world and around us, we have a lot of that energy that's still alive. And so not being so sideswiped by it when we are, or being so blindsided or having blinders on, that we have to be open, broaden our perspective, open our hearts and open our minds. It is huge. Moving beyond any hate, judgment, criticism. And how do we become the solution? How do we work together? How do we, and that is in all relationships. It's like not be so easily to jump ship on some of your relationships and friendships, is asking yourself, how can I do this in a more loving way? How can we approach relationships and looking at our relationships differently? How can we, you know, listen, listening without an emotional attachment. So without being so invested in your own emotions and your own desired outcomes, that we have the open mind to be able to listen without allowing the emotions to override that sense of caring about what somebody else has to say, about what somebody else is feeling, about what somebody else is going through. Sorry, I got all kinds of interruptions, so many. But yeah, I just feel like it's, well, what they're telling me is this sense of, you know, coming into this caring and this compassion and this place of love. So I'm allowing this message to unfold from the experience of what they've been downloading all week for me and where we are right now. So let me bring this fully into God and give it into God's hands, and just allow the divine to give us a message, and the divine masculine, feminine, to give a message of love and with integrity and respect for the ultimate white light and the guidance of the light, that we are moving and shifting in times, that times are changing, that we are growing in the areas where we have not grown in years, in lifetimes, where we have been so defining the human and defining our human self based on a specific thought process, or a comparison to the way we were or who we were. And this is a level of consciousness and intelligence that tells us we've not yet been this human. We've not yet been this kind of person. And it's a hard to release. And they're telling us it is hard for people to release and let go, and to trust that who we are becoming will serve our own highest good, along with serving the highest good of all. That we will find ourselves in a place where we are not so burdened down and carrying such weights of the world, Will the whole world shift and change? No, not at once. It will take the turning on of the light within, and awakening to allow new truths and new ways to unfold. And the more that they do, we'll see a more beautiful world that will be opening up, and we'll be living and existing in this more beautiful world. It does not mean that we will collapse all old ways. It means that we find ways that we can do this in a gentle, kind uh, manner that allows for us to restore integrity to the things that we have been blessed to have in our lives, including resources, including our ability to care, to have compassion and kindness, and to restore the integrity to our emotions so that we're not emotionally responding and reacting the way that we used to, or the way that we're used to doing things, that we're finding our way to allowing children to return to being children, that they do not have to be growing up. They do not have to know that the world is so big and so vast, and they don't need to know what is going on everywhere. They do not need to be involved in adult conversations and listening to the adults. And the adults are maturing and evolving emotionally and spiritually to recognize that their inner child is no longer present, that what happened in their childhood is not here to define who you are in your future self. So there is an evolution and evolving of the emotions that is happening, as if we are growing and extending out these etheric energetic connections, as if the nerve endings are expanding be out and beyond the body, but not in a way that we're making us more, not where we got to protect ourselves more, but where we can live more vulnerable, where we can live more connected and sharing and being present with each other, and knowing that there will be these forts and energies that will not be in alignment to us. We will always have those that will try to play God. But when we are on the right side of God, when you are on the right side of God within your heart and within your body, within your mind, your soul, when you recognize that you are that piece of God, you are that light, and we stay connected to that light, we're not so easily led and fall victim to those trying to play God, or to the imitations and the illusions of the influences of false light. And it will be so easy to see and to capture. And this will lead to healthier, more beautiful relationships, and coming into those relationships, trusting that our higher self will guide us to trust in, have faith and hope in that essence of the intelligence that has great wisdom for us, and not so determined to listen to the mind stories and to be guided by the mind of where we were and the visual of an image of who you thought a person was, and not clumping and clustering, but opening and expanding, and allowing this world to be as if the seeds have now broken open and new flowers are blossoming, new growth is happening, that we are we are coming into that place of recognizing that the power of who we are is in our capability to love, to be present. And as a crone, as a grandmother, as a seer, I know the power of love. And when your heart opens up to love and then it expands more, I didn't think there's, you sometimes don't know you don't think there's that capacity to love anymore, but we always have room to love. We always have room to be available to love, to open ourselves up to love. And so this beautiful energy that's here is saying, you know what, we will witness these experiences still for a while, but we are seeing love and light breaking through the darkness And it is still more powerful. But when you see only the darkness, you cannot see the light. So see the light in you so that you can see the light through the darkness that is trying to masquerade itself, that's trying to say it is more powerful than the light. Let your light be brighter than your darkness. Let your love be greater than your hate. And you will watch and see this world grow. Let our children be children. And let us live with our own sense of joy and happiness and restoring that sense of finding that within us to be present and to know that, yes, we will experience the storms. The storms will come. We will not be blindsided by them because we're looking in all directions. We're listening, we're hearing, we're observing, we're seeing it coming. And we know when to be in protection. We know when to be safe, but we're also very aware that that it is time for change, and changes are happening with or without you. And so being a part of those changes don't mean that we contribute any more to the hate. We don't contribute to the judgment and the criticism. How can I be the change instead of the judgment? Be that this week. How can I be the change? How can I open my heart to be willing to even listen to the hard things and the hard choices and the hard decisions, and 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 make the hard choices and decisions, but listen and ask the hard questions and be willing to listen to the answers and watch and see how the world will evolve and grow within you, and the world around you will grow and evolve. I send much healing prayers and love out into the world, shining our light, letting the light shine, sending out and faith and knowing that God conscious is present. And as I sit with what I thought I couldn't find, and that is that of every child matters. And this number has long changed. And here in Canada, and the finding of so many bodies of children is that we have for way too long not wanted to see some of the things that we need to see. And it is time for us to see. And it's time for us to live in that world where every child matters, and that includes us. We all are a child of God, and we are all here to be that child of God, in a knowing that to be that godly within ourselves, to be benevolent, to be kind, to be caring, to be generous, to be that essence. And that as the adult that we put in the effort to emotionally and spiritually evolve and grow together, and we let the children be children, and we don't try to force and become the white knights that believe that we can make, that we know what's best for everybody. We don't know what's best. God knows what's best. And this is a true test and a testimonial story of when somebody walks in and believes that they are going to give somebody a better life and they know what's best for them. No, you don't. It's like people are of their own faith, their own culture, their own ways, their own life. And people will grow and grow through their own experiences. And to live in a world where we can allow each other to be unique and authentic and to be true to us is a beautiful world. And through the wisdom of the wise ones, of these children who are now wisdom for us, they are the spirits. You cannot kill a spirit. A human will leave this earth, but a spirit will always be alive. And when it's ready, and when they know the world is ready to hear, to awaken, the spirit will rise, and the spirits have risen, and wisdom is speaking. And you can hear the drums. You can hear the power in the energy of those wise ones who are now speaking and telling us and guiding us to look deeper, to go the extra mile, to be kind, to open up our hearts to accept that we have authenticity and uniqueness, and that we can be together and not be divided, to be be of one together, to work together. And it is time for us to be that. And it starts in our home, in our relationships. And it starts with allowing ourselves to look deep within us. Much love. Have a beautiful week and be beautiful. Have beautiful thoughts. Be kind, be generous, and be of service where we can be of service to helping others, and not just those of your kind. Be kind to all. We are all one. We are all pink inside. And let's be that pink. Let's be that of love. Let's spread love and light within this world. Much love. Have a beautiful week. Bye-bye.